I'm sure, if you're reading this, you'll remember Majin Buu. Perhaps I should clarify, though, in case this book is ever read by a future generation, which time has somehow forgotten this monster. Majin Buu was, undoubtedly, the single greatest catastrophe to ever befall the planet Earth. Its mindless drive to destroy, its cruel nature, its sheer power and nigh indestructibility. Hopefully you haven't skipped ahead in this book, and you've already read about King Piccolo and Cell. They have nothing on Buu. And I had the misfortune of fighting it. From Groundbreaking Science by Son Gohan, 2nd edition, Historical Notes section. Gohan felt himself sinking into the ground as the enormous energy sphere bore implacably down on him. His hands burned from contact with it. Can't! His famous strength from anger was useless now. Majin Buu was impossibly strong. One thing I could try, but I need a couple of seconds to recover, and I can't do that while pushing this back! His thoughts, so close to the surface, did not go unheard. Well, why didn't you say so? A harsh voice from beside him growled. Instantly, the pressure crushing down on Gohan was relieved. He turned, seeing Piccolo standing tall, both hands raised to fend off the deadly energy ball. In that instant, Gohan thought of running, trying to see how fast he could get away and let Piccolo take the hit. But there was easily enough power there to destroy the planet. That wasn't an option. Piccolo almost slipped, the attack inching closer to the ground. Get on with it! Right! Gohan powered down to the first level of Super Saiyan. Had to think clearly. He put his hands out in front of him, moving them in a slow circle. The air began to ripple around him. Focus. The ripples spread, flowing out to encompass the entire lower hemisphere of Buu's attack. Focus! Jolts of pain stabbed through his head. He'd never attempted this on such a large scale before, and his mind was being taxed to its limit. Blood streamed from his nose and rose into his mouth. I got this! The ripples coalesced into a spiraling, translucent vortex hanging in the air, and Piccolo found himself cut off from the sphere. He stepped away, and with nothing more to hold it back, it surged down, vanishing into the portal. Several dozen meters away, a second portal appeared, facing upwards, and the giant energy sphere muscled its way past the walls of reality to emerge, before flying off into the upper atmosphere. Well past escape velocity, it continued a good ways into space before detonating and lighting up skies throughout the solar system. Gohan staggered around a few haphazard steps, ears ringing. A voice penetrated through the blur of white noise. What did you do? He stared dumbly at Piccolo for a second. I shifted the attack. Turned it around so it was heading away from us. Interesting, Piccolo said before laying the dazed Gohan out with one punch. He looked over to where Majin Buu had wandered off. He could still feel its ki, moving relatively slowly away from them. Now what am I supposed to do?
Oh dear.
Piccolo turned at the voice, taking a minute to identify the strange sight. A little old woman in black, beady eyes peering out from under a large pointed hat, sat atop a floating crystal ball. What are you doing here, fortune teller? He asked dismissively. Baba drifted right by him, coming to a halt above Raditz.
Just here to pick this up, she muttered. The idiot Twinton used that new transformation of his for too long. He's drained away all his life energy, and he was supposed to have a whole day.
Wait, you mean Buu didn't kill him?
Well, he is dead, she said offhandedly. But then he's been dead for 7 years. It is possible to destroy an otherworld body, and nobody knows where you go if that happens. But they're very durable. He'll be fine. However, he can't stay in the living world any longer.
Her eyes flashed slightly, and Raditz's body was lifted into the air with telekinetic force, Halo bumping on the ground as he rose.
I'm just lucky they don't get heavier as they get stronger. Well, goodbye.
She departed, carrying Raditz ignominiously behind her. Good riddance. Piccolo surveyed the sorry scene around him. Kibito was already gone. I can't beat Buu alone, and I can't have it destroying everything. Guess I've got no choice but to make these clowns help me. The lookout should be the safest place for now. It took quite some time, and some convincing, to get the group from the tournament up to the lookout. The tournament itself hadn't contained any more interesting battles, and 18 had taken the prize money with little effort. She, along with Bulma and Trunks, were in fact not present at the lookout, but had promised to get there as soon as possible. Piccolo examined what help he had. The main assets are the 3 half-Saiyan kids. I'll have to count on them. Alright, I know none of you want to work with me. Frankly, the thought disgusts me as well. But if the alternative is that we all die, that's just the way it is. Goku is dead. The Supreme Kai too. Raditz has used up all his time on Earth. Place your hopes in me. Or not at all. Krillin gulped nervously. Well, I don't like it, but like you say, we've got no choice. Do you have a plan? Yeah. Piccolo indicated the entrance to the lookout's interior. Gohan. He stared blankly at the two younger Saiyan kids, no names coming to mind. Gohan's brother and girl. You're all coming with me into the Hyperbolic time chamber. You two are going to get to Super Saiyan 2. And you, he indicated Gohan, are going to train like you mean it for once.
Now hold on a minute, Chi-Chi snapped. If you think I'm just letting my children spend a whole year alone with a monster like you, you've got another thing coming, Mr.
Don't question me, human! Piccolo balled his fists. I wasn't asking. And you don't threaten my mother. Gohan growled, aura beginning to glow. If you think you can take me, go ahead. Piccolo stared into Gohan's eyes, unflinching, and finally the Saiyan backed down. I will get stronger than you. That's the spirit. Piccolo grinned, showing his fangs.
Hold on a second, Krillin interjected. Doesn't the time chamber only have enough food for 2 people at a time?
It's true. They require only water. But there are 3 of them. Mr. Popo! He looked behind him, seeing the cowering genie hiding behind a pillar from the creature that had once been his friend. Yes? Halfway through the day, you'll prepare extra food and restock the chamber. Several months' supply of food? Several months' supply of food prepared in only 12 hours? Popo spluttered. Yes. Good to see you understand. Better get cooking.
You're heartless!
Chi-Chi grumbled, stopping off to help Popo with his monumental task, followed by her father. A knack for cooking ran in their family, though it seemed to have skipped the half-Saiyan's generation. Alright, let's not waste any time. Buu will only be content with random destruction for so long. Get in there. Followed by Gohan, Break, and Goten, Piccolo marched up to the Hyperbolic time chamber, flung the door open, and swept inside. As the other 3 filed in behind him, those left outside grew grim-faced.
I do have to wonder, Roshi said sourly, just what those 4 can do against Buu, even all together. I mean, even a Super Saiyan 3 was no match for him.
Vidal put a hand to her head.
I just hope that creature doesn't do too much damage before they can stop it. I can't believe we're giving it free reign on Earth for 24 hours.
Hercule, beside her, nodded wordlessly. He had no intention of trying to fight Buu, but his pride wouldn't allow him to say so. In any case, Yamcha flung off his suit jacket and opened his shirt, revealing the martial arts uniform beneath. If Buu gets bold and comes after us, or tries to destroy the planet, it's down to whoever we've got left to stall him for as long as we can manage. He hesitated. Did I just say that? Oh god, we're all gonna die. This'll be 3 times for me, Krillin muttered. What a weird life. Lives. Kibito, now back on the Kai's sacred planet, had just finished recounting his tale to the elder Kaioshin, who gave an exasperated sigh.
What a bunch of idiots! It'd be funny if the consequences weren't so severe!
I deeply apologize, my lord.
If I had... Don't go blaming yourself. There's nothing you could have done. I know you felt your master's death quite deeply, but we can't let emotions cloud our thinking. Majin Buu has struck the first blow. It's time to plan our counterattack.
Yes. Calming himself, Kibito bowed. What do you propose?
First, let me examine the situation for myself.
The old Kai materialized a crystal ball in one hand, setting it down on the grass in front of him. The view rapidly flicked from location to location. Buu hovering over a city, a small tense group at the lookout, a couple of bodies. Finally, he stopped, tapping the ball in deep thought.
Yes, just as you described. Oh, and about Buu's change. My descendants said the fat Majin Buu was composed of the original pure evil Buu, and the innocent spirit imposed upon it by this generation's Grand Kaioshin. However, the good was dominant. I'd have to guess that whatever magic was cast on it brought the evil half to the fore, repressing its good side, and it seems giving it the combined power of both. Or something like that. Its actual level of ki is very difficult to determine for some reason. Hold on. He paused, narrowing his eyes and peering closer. Kibito, you'd better get on back to Earth. There's a matter that requires your attention.
Goku blacked out for a second, almost falling. He recovered quickly, putting his free hand out beneath him and catching himself before he hit the ground. Despite his other hand clamped firmly around the wound on his shoulder, and a significant portion of his shirt currently being employed as a bandage, an alarming amount of blood spattered the rock beneath him. He shook his head, stood. I'm not done yet! I can still sense Buu. That way! Ugh! He winced as he began to walk again, pain shooting down from his shoulder into his spine. Damn! He shot clean through me. At least, unlike Piccolo, he missed all my vital organs. A flicker of noise, instant movement, alerted Goku to Kibito's arrival. Hey! He struggled for the name. Supreme Kai's helper guy? That is I. Now, Son Goku. Kibito held out his hand, his expression grave. Come with me if you want to live. There were 300,000 people living in the city that morning. For instance, a young man by the unusual name of Jimmy, scarfing down bacon, trying not to stare at the waitress, realizing his new shirt didn't quite fit. Blissfully unaware until he saw the pink glow fill the sky. He only just discovered this wonderful restaurant, was his last thought. Antonio, 3 blocks away, actually saw Majin Buu beforehand. The sight of the distant humanoid figure hovering above the city made him practically drop his guitar. He rubbed his eyes. Maybe he just wasn't sleeping enough. He nudged another student. Yeah, I see it. What is... 5 seconds later. Buu watched the flames dance in the remnants of the ruined metropolis. Gleefully, it noticed a house on the outskirts still standing, making for it and landing just outside. The door swung open, and a woman carrying a baby rushed out. She stumbled to a halt upon seeing Buu. You... Oh God! She froze, trembling. You did all this! What are you? Buu's antenna twitched. Hungry. It breathed. The antenna rose, pointing at the pair of humans. This time, want candy. The tip began to glow pink. Buu licked its lips. Its victim screwed her eyes shut, hugging her baby close to her chest. The beam shot out as before, but halfway to its target it was stopped by an explosion of energy. That's enough! Buu, perplexed, turned to the left, seeing a 3-eyed robed man standing amidst the ruins, his hands raised in a triangular formation. Who are you? The creature hissed. Ten Shinhan ignored it, talking directly to its intended victim. Get out of here, now! I can buy you maybe a minute. Find somewhere to hide. Silently, the woman ran to her waiting air car, scrambling in and blasting off. Buu took a step in the direction of the fleeing vehicle, but was stopped short as it sensed a rising battle power. Tien moved with slow, measured strides, coming to a halt in front of Buu. Not a chance, until you can get through me. You're pissing me off, Buu said irritably. Not smart. Tien threw off the outer layer of his robes, forming his hands into the tri-beam position again. We'll see. Goku, again healed, stood by Kibito and Elder Kai, shifting from one foot to the other restlessly. Thanks for your help, but I need to get back to Buu. I know I can find a way to beat him this time. The old guardian shook his head.
No, not yet. We need some kind of plan. A head-on attack at your level of power is just suicide.
Goku! You're alive! The three turned at the voice. A pair of figures, newly arrived with instant transmission, stood behind them. Raditz, looking the worse for wear but at least conscious, and the younger Kaioshin, smiling weakly. Both had halos hovering over their heads. Raditz broke away from his passenger, running over to his little brother and clapping him on the back. When I woke up, I couldn't even sense your ki! Tears welled in his squeezed-shut eyes. I was surprised that I didn't die myself, to be honest. Goku chuckled. It's great to see you both again. I know Kaioshin's supposed to be a god and all, but I could have sworn he was looking up to Raditz just then. Almost like Raditz was his big brother. I guess he has that effect on people. He's really changed these last few years. Relief flooded over Kibito. Well, he can no longer visit the living world, but I've not completely lost my most trusted friend. He gave silent thanks to the universe. I have to wonder, though, Raditz said. If this Kai planet is part of the other world, and spirits like us can come here, where are the past Kaioshins, like the ones Majin Buu killed?
Well, the ones who were absorbed wouldn't have become spirits, since they never died in the traditional sense, Elder Kai explained. As for the ones Buu simply killed, I can only assume he also destroyed their spiritual bodies when he came here.
What about all the previous generations, then? Goku pointed out.
Well, Kaioshin are not born in the sense you would know it. There's a great tree in the heart of Otherworld, from which magical fruit grow. These develop into our race, the Shin'jen. A very few of these fruit are golden in appearance, and from these the Kaioshin are born. As such, when a Shin'jen dies, their spirit body remains in the Otherworld for about 1,000 years, which is a long time to you mortals, but trust me, not to us, before their energy and consciousness is absorbed back into the tree that birthed them, renewing the cycle. So my descendants got a while left, though not as much time as he might otherwise have had.
I see. Raditz shook his head. But anyway, what are we going to do about Buu? Goku's the only one here who can fight him now.
And we all saw how well that went, Old Kai mumbled. Well, your friends seem to have come to the same conclusion. A few of them are training in another dimension right now.
Another? Goku snapped his fingers. Oh, the hyperbolic time chamber. Well, you can only use it twice in your lifetime, but I guess Gohan's only been in once. It's a shame there's a limit to supplies, too. Otherwise, I'd love to go and join them.
That wouldn't be an issue, Elder Kai replied. They're preparing extra food to restock their supply in 12 hours. But stay put!
He snapped as Goku turned towards Raditz.
Tell me something, Goku. You Saiyans with your transformations. Do you think you can get much stronger in your current form?
Super Saiyan 2? Not much, no. Goku sighed. And whatever small improvements I could make, Buu's already beaten a Super Saiyan 3. The god raised an eyebrow.
Could you unlock that form then, if you had a year in that room?
I don't think so, no. I mean, I'm sure Raditz's otherworld training and spirit body helped a lot. He glanced over at his brother, who nodded to confirm this. Right, even aside from the spirit body, if I trained here, I'd only have a day, not a year. And I definitely couldn't ascend in just one day.
So, there's not much point in you rushing off to join your friend's training, is there?
No, there isn't, Goku admitted. He clenched his fists, a rush of ki flattening the grass around him. Damn it! There's just no way to get strong enough in the time I've got!
Now,
Elder Kai said slowly.
I never said that.
What? Goku's surprise was echoed by all, and a general silence fell, which the old god stepped up to fill.
You fools didn't think the legend of the Z-Sword was entirely baseless, did you? The blade can grant its user unimaginable power, or something like that. Well, that's me. I'm not a fighter myself, but I possess the ability to awaken the hidden power in anyone, to take them beyond their normal limits, in fact. It's my gift. Why do you think there was an enemy who feared me enough to seal me in that sword, eh?
Really? Kaioshin was as shocked as the rest. Why did you never mention this?
You never asked.
Old Kai held up a finger before the others could protest.
Hold on a minute. Don't get mad. Think about it. And first let me tell you that the ritual takes a while. 5 hours preparation and 20 hours for the actual thing. When Raditz first released me, I couldn't just stop the fight with Janemba for a day to power him up, now could I? And ever since then, you seem fairly convinced that he was more than capable of handling Buu. So why would I need to use my ability? But now...
Well, if it'll take more than a whole day, we better get started right away. Goku stood apart from the others. Since my brother can't go back to Earth anymore, I guess I'm up. Okay, go ahead. Old Kai scratched his head.
I don't know if I want to. It's a very rare privilege, you know, and not one usually bestowed upon a mortal. Besides, you don't look like you have too much sleeping power. Almost all of it's already drawn out.
Aw, come on! Goku pleaded. He thought of the only old man he was regularly acquainted with, Master Roshi, and had hoped this one would share his vices. Dirty old men will be dirty old men, right? I know this guy, Roshi. He has some great magazines you might like. If you know what I... No, won't work, Old Kai insisted. With my omniscient vision, or just this crystal ball if I get tired, I can watch girls sunbathing all around the universe. Goku racked his brains, stumped. Maybe... No, Chi-Chi would kill me. Then... Bulma? How about you just give him the damn power-up! Raditz shouted in a sudden outburst. Or maybe you want to go fight Buu! Gah! Old Kai flinched back at Raditz's glowering wrath.
All right. You people are so impatient. But remember, Goku, as I said, you're not the type with lots of sleeping power. Most of what you've got came through effort. Even after this ritual, you still probably won't be able to beat Majin Buu.
I understand. Goku nodded, squaring his shoulders. But if it'll give me a better chance than right now, you gotta try it.
Very well. Stand still.
Goku gulped. I wonder what intense trials I'll have to undergo. What strange mystic techniques is he going to... Power! Old Kai screeched, thrusting his hands in Goku's direction. Awaken! With that, he began to prance in a circle around the bewildered Saiyan, hopping up and down, waving his arms, puffing and panting, and intermediately spouting gibberish phrases. The whole spectacle was undignified in the extreme. Goku said cautiously.
Are you sure you're... Quiet! Elder Kai squawked. This is important! Just try and stay still for 5 hours. Then we'll be able to begin for real.
Aww. Goku straightened up, staring wearily into space. This is going to be a long day. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Bulma asked, adjusting some settings on the large device.
A tube, about twice human size, bedecked with protruding wiring. 18 nodded wordlessly, lying on the flat table by one end of the machine. If they're right about this Buu thing, there's really no time to waste. Alright, but... well, you're only part human as it is. This will replace even more of that with artificial parts. The scientist drummed her fingers on the table behind her. You and Krillin won't be able to have any more kids. For one thing, we've been over this. Do it before I change my mind. What would be the point of having another child if I can't even protect the life of the first? Logic she knew she'd come to disagree with soon enough, which was why this had to be done quickly. Right, it's the setting up of the process that took me a long time. The actual conversion should only take a few hours. It's basically like an assembly line in miniature. Theoretically, you won't feel any pain from this. Well, I hope, but try not to look, okay? It might look unpleasant partway through, like horror movie unpleasant. You're literally having parts of your body reconstructed. Start the machine, Bulma. That's it for Chapter 80. I'll see you in Chapter 81 in just a few seconds. Stay tuned.
Let's get down to business. Piccolo faced the three Saiyan hybrids, face fixed into his permanent scowl, his furrowed brow slightly curling the ends of the M on his head. You're hardly warriors. You too. He glared down at Break and Goten. Just kids born into power. And even you. He rounded on Gohan. When was the last time you did any serious training? Don't start this, Gohan grumbled.
Yeah, how are we supposed to know Buu would come along?
Goten whined. Piccolo tried to rein in his anger. Buu is hardly the first being to try something like this. You should always be ready. Now, he swept his gaze across them. We have 12 months. I will personally train each one of you, one at a time for a period of 2 months. For this first month, and for 1 month after each of those 3 periods, I'll train alone. Those not being currently trained by me may do as they wish, but I advise you focus on getting stronger if you want to live through this. For the last part of the year after that, we'll all train together.
Who said you get to make the rules?
Break suddenly shouted, wishing she was taller as Piccolo glowered down at her. If any of you can take me one-on-one, we'll discuss who's qualified to be in charge. Until then, you will do exactly as I say. He turned his back, striding out into the empty expanse of the hyperbolic time chamber. See you in a month.
I thought he was a bad guy.
Break said to herself, almost oblivious that the others could hear her.
Why is he on our side?
He doesn't want everything destroyed any more than we do, Gohan explained. He'd have nothing left to conquer. Plus, he can't beat Buu alone and he knows it. We're Earth's strongest fighters right now, so I guess he's hoping to bring Buu down by strength of numbers. Well, we should get started, I guess.
I'm hungry!
Goten moaned, clutching his stomach, which conveniently growled at the exact moment.
Can we eat first? Yeah, let's eat!
Break cheered. Gohan walked over towards the entrance, blocking the way to the kitchen. How about this? You two can eat as soon as you get past me, okay?
Alright!
Break grinned gleefully, but Goten wasn't pleased.
Aw, man.
He sighed.
How am I supposed to beat you? It's not fair, you're older.
Yeah, but there's 2 of you. Gohan spread his arms, challenging them to attack. Come on, I'm not going to let you starve. I just want to see what you guys can do.
Okay then.
Goten and Break simultaneously flashed into Super Saiyan, charging at Gohan. Piccolo was already half a mile away, and settling down to meditate. His superhuman hearing picked up on the distant sounds of battle, and he nodded slightly. There we go. Fire! Fire everything! If Majin Buu heard the distant voice, or even noticed the heavy-duty artillery impacting his skin, he gave no notice. There was another large city up ahead, another really fun one he could take his time with. The rain of missiles finally started to itch. Snarling in irritation, Buu flicked his hand out, casually obliterating the armored division before moving on. I'm sorry, sir. General Ripper saluted half-heartedly, approaching the morose Prime Minister. 19th Armored has been destroyed. It looks like... well, you know. The politician lifted his head out of his hands. All this death. Do you know 1/3 of the world's population is dead thanks to this creature? 1/3! It hasn't even been 1 day. Where are those mysterious fighters of ours? Can't they defeat it like they did Cell? That's just it, sir. I think they tried. Ripper sat down, sighing. They were sighted leaving the World Martial Arts Tournament in a hurry, and shortly afterwards, we picked some of their kind of energy spikes. Not too far from there is where this thing was first sighted. I think they fought, and it won. Dear God. What do we do? Don't know, sir. We're going to wait until it's in an isolated area and try nuclear weapons, but... well, I have my doubts. And I'm sorry about the king, sir. Don't feel guilty just because you weren't in the capital at the time. The Prime Minister tried to put on a brave face. Failed. Just keep me updated, General. Dismissed. Roshi took stock of their assembled forces. Besides himself, there was Launch, Krillin, Yamcha, Zarbon, Videl, Kuriza, Hercule, and Chaozu. Chi-Chi, Ox King, and Mr. Popo were also present, though still at work on their monumental task. The genie's magic sped the process up tremendously, but could only get them so far. All in all, hardly the greatest warriors the Earth had to offer, but they'd have to do if Buu showed up. Still, the old master's spirits lifted slightly when Dende reappeared from within the lookout, with another ally, Dr. Mew. He had grown up, it seemed. His body was taller and adult proportioned, with more dark tones, and when he spoke, his voice was deeper and less comical. I hear it's the end of the world. Like that's new, Zarbon said, trying to make light of the situation, but his pained expression spoke volumes. Bulma, 18, and Trunks still weren't back. Hey, wasn't there somebody else living here? Krillin asked, trying to see if there was anybody behind Dende and Mew. Where's Tarble? Gone, Mew said evenly. What? Without even saying goodbye? Launch frowned. What's his deal? It would have been too painful for him. Mew quickly realized they weren't satisfied and wouldn't be with anything less than a full explanation. His attack on my hatred of Saiyans was a passive-aggressive one. He didn't do anything. Just lived with Dende and Popo and myself, and acted like a normal, decent person. It clashed so completely with my view of his race, for such an extended period of time. The prejudice couldn't hold up. So I suppose that he succeeded in his aim was part of the reason that he left. But I caused the catalyst. I could tell he was troubled and one day confronted him on it. It turned out he had someone back on a planet he'd made his home, still waiting for him. What's more, she had a son by him, a mate and child, and he didn't mention it to any of us. The Tuffle put a hand on his head. He's a strange one. It's almost like family is meaningless to him. Everyone is his family. And I needed help in his eyes more than those two. But I was able to convince him that he'd succeeded, and they needed him home as soon as possible. That's when he finally showed some emotion, when he was about to leave. Dende contacted the Namekians, and they used Purunga to transport him home. But in those few moments beforehand, he had a complete breakdown. Told me to say goodbye to you all for him, however briefly he'd known you. He couldn't face it. I'm sure they're all happier now. So weird, Yamcha muttered. Then he lightened up, or at least attempted to. But hey, I guess he can do what he wants. After all, now Vegeta's dead. He is, technically. And here he did a surprisingly accurate Vegeta interpretation. The Prince of all Saiyans! A ripple of laughter followed. Though had Goku been there, it's doubtful that he would have enjoyed it. To all the rest of them, Vegeta was simply another enemy. The king, actually. Mew's words stopped the laughter and all eyes turned to him. What? I, like you, brought up the, vacated position his brother had held one day. He jokingly accepted it, then went further and reminded me that his father was dead too. Technically, if Tabo wanted to claim the royal throne, he'd have the most direct claim. He seemed to become more serious about it later, though. Said it might be a name that people would remember. I wouldn't be surprised if the King of all Saiyans makes a move into galactic politics sometime soon. That one's got a sharp mind for that kind of thing. He often spent dull moments deconstructing past systems of government. Who would have believed it? Launch chuckled, then suddenly stopped. Wait a sec. You reminded me. The Dragon Balls! Why don't we just use them? Earths or Nameks, whichever. Her face lit up. We could resurrect everybody Buu's killed, or move them all off planet, or something like that. I mean, I know we can't just kill him with them or anything. They won't work on somebody more powerful than their creator, but still. Nods and smiles were beginning to spread at the idea, but Roshi shook his head. No, I'm sorry to say that might be a bad idea. What's a Dragon Ball? Hercule asked, bewildered, but was ignored.
Huh?
Krone looked around at Roshi, confused.
Why do you say that? Surely it's worth a shot.
Hello? Hercule said, agitated. What are Dragon Balls?
No, I don't think it is. Anything we do to reverse the damage Majin Buu's doing, it could just do all over again. And if we move everybody to, say, Namek, Buu will just find a new planet to terrorize. It may even destroy the whole Earth if it gets bored. He sighed, leaning on his staff. I'm sorry to say that our only hope is to try and defeat Buu the old-fashioned way. Then we can focus on undoing the damage.
Come on, someone answer me! Hercule pleaded. What are they? You don't mean some poor dragon?
Well, thanks for reminding me anyway, Mew, Launch said. I hate to keep correcting people, but the robotic scientist began. But what? But I've had a lot of time to think. Dr. Mew was a twisted, lost man, heading the way of Raichi, if not quite so far down that path. He straightened up. I'm not sure if I want to be associated with that cycle of revenge. Luckily, something came to mind. I'd once been given another name. Brings to mind a beginning rather than a continuation. A new start, as it were. Innocence, even. A smile crossed his lips, almost too brief to see. Baby will do. Alright, baby. Krillin nodded. We'll be glad to have you on our side if it comes down to us to stall Majin Buu. Chaozu sat aside from this conversation, hearing but not responding. Tien's ki. It flared up for a minute a while ago, but now it's completely gone. But he can't be. Not again. He wouldn't let something like that happen to him. Gohan lay on the floor, panting. Behind him, Goten and Break lay in a similar sprawled position, remnants of a hastily scarfed meal littering the tiles around them. Oh man, Goten breathed. You can fight us without transforming? Secretly, though, he was ecstatic that they'd managed to get past the older hybrid. Well, you've only been Super Saiyan a year or so, Goten. Gohan stretched and stood up. But Break, that wasn't your full power, was it? His cousin hopped to her feet. Nah. You want to see it? Yeah. Gohan dropped into a fighting stance. I think I've got enough energy to go another round. Goten shuffled back against the wall. Full power? Break, what are you going to do? Break slowly circled Gohan until she stood opposite the chamber's door from him. Only if you're sure, she said, transforming again. I won't be able to control myself. I don't want to hurt you. Gohan nodded, turning Super Saiyan in a small burst of power. Do it. I can handle it. Alright then. Break's face suddenly became empty, as if she was letting her mind take a step back and vacate her body, and something else rushed in to fill the empty space. The change was less like a deliberate transformation and more like a complete and total loss of control. It began with chattering teeth, her mouth moving and twisting in half-formed words, seeming to attempt screams and growls but never complete them. Then, the shaking spread to her entire body, and a chill flowed out through the air around her. Gohan shivered, feeling the temperatures bite on his bare arms, despite the normally pleasant environment near the center of the chamber. That was when the physical change began. Her body swelled, rapidly increasing in size. Simultaneously, her hair and aura took on an unhealthy green hue. Her image appeared blurry, and Gohan realized it was a heat haze, yet the air around him only grew colder. All the heat around us is being drawn to her. At last, the great rage within her overcame her mind, and she howled with wild abandonment, a savage, primitive noise. Gohan saw the twisted snarl, the blank eyes. Oh no. Then, she was moving, already upon him and striking claw-like with her nails, drawing blood in a diagonal tear down his chest. Like she said, she isn't in control, he realized. She's just attacking the first thing she sees, and I need to stop her. Plus, with this kind of power, she can take it. He countered quickly, stepping back out of close quarters to put his size advantage to use, then punching her across the face. Scarcely after her head snapped back, she twisted back towards him, throwing herself forwards and sinking her teeth deep into his arm. Ow! Gohan hissed, prying Break off him and kicking her away into the air. Thick globules of blood stained the floor beneath him. What'd she do? Goten exclaimed, sitting bolt upright in shock. Just like the future Break, Gohan said, scowling. She transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan form. Of course, she's still a kid, so it's not as powerful as her other self. I think I can handle her, but it's still impressive. So young, too. I guess it's because she had proper training and a higher level of competition. The future Break only had one basic level Super Saiyan to compare with, and as a teacher, he didn't really know what he was doing. That is, I didn't know what I was doing. Don't know what I will be doing? Don't know what I will... Don't have known what I will have done? Ugh, time travel! The confusion almost distracted him from Break, charging back down at him. Almost. He sidestepped, sending his elbow after the back of her head and knocking her flat. The jarring impact seemed to snap her out of it, and her aura died down, the transformation reversing. That was impressive, he admitted. I didn't think you were capable of anything like that. She stood, rubbing her aching head. You think I'll be able to train it in here? Sure. Awesome! I never could use it before. She shuffled her feet. Mom said it was too dangerous. I only could do it since almost a year ago.
Gohan saw her excitement, Goten's envy. You're both going to improve a lot. He found himself already adapting to the mentor role. We'll need everything we've got if we're going to fight Buu in a year. So work hard.
Right.
A month passed in this way. The kids found it easier to use the Force power-up of the Ascended form to increase their strength than to fully master Super Saiyan at first. And as they progressed, Gohan soon found himself having to transform to fight either of them, though that made it easy. Occasionally, Break would go Legendary Super Saiyan for a one-on-one match with Gohan, and as she progressed, he found it harder and harder to come out on top. Luckily, she was getting better control over it, and while she still grew enraged on transforming, she could now deactivate it at will. In addition, Gohan was getting stronger too. He never used the second level, but simply having it unlocked had opened up a whole new realm of power in the first Super Saiyan stage, and even his base form that he had neglected to try and achieve until now. The month passed too quickly. Piccolo returned, ordered Gohan out into the deep white emptiness, the central hyperbolic time chamber building barely visible. He'd left the kids to train with each other, warning Break not to use the legendary form on Goten. So, you're going to toughen me up? Gohan guessed. If you can survive these 2 months, yes. You'll be tougher for sure. Piccolo immediately winded Gohan with a low punch, and swept his legs out and threw him away. First rule, never let your guard down. Gohan choked, scrabbling to his feet and going Super Saiyan. Bullshit! There's training, and then there's... Piccolo faced into view directly in front of him, lifting him up one-handed by the throat. And then there's reality. You can go Super Saiyan 2 under extreme duress, and you will, at least once a day, until you can use it at will. I won't use my full power, but it'll be enough that if you can't transform, you'll die. Gohan threw a ki blast at point-blank range, making Piccolo drop him and scrambling away. He raised his guard, edging back cautiously. If we defeat Buu, watch your back. I don't expect you to like me, boy. Piccolo began to gather his energy. But maybe you can become a man. 2 months later, hyperbolic time chamber time. 4 hours later, real world time. Goten looked up from his lunch.
Hey, you sense that?
Break lifted her head from the bed, tilted it slightly.
Yeah.
A thump came from outside, and they scurried out to sea. Piccolo was already gone, and Gohan was pulling himself up from a lying down position. His hair was growing longer, as was Break's, and slowly healing cuts and bruises dotted his body. His gi was ripped up, most of the shirt missing, revealing more injuries. He looked at the pair approaching with relief, like a great weight had just been lifted.
Well, he did it. I'll give him that.
Gohan said, sounding slightly shell-shocked.
I can go Super Saiyan 2 at will now. So, he's on our side?
Goten said excitedly. Gohan grimaced, trying to repress the memories. Not even remotely. By this time, the kids had reached the limit of forced, bulked-up powering up in their 3 months independent training, and in the following month, Gohan had them working on mastering Super Saiyan the way the older generation had while preparing to fight Cell. Surprisingly, Goten took to this quicker than Break, finding it easier to clear his mind and achieve total calm, even while transformed. Break was much more comfortable with simply forcing more power into her body, and struggled not to tip the balance into the over-bulky level, in which strength was increased at the cost of speed and stamina, rendering it useless. Gohan knew Piccolo was going to attempt to unlock their latent Super Saiyan 2 potential, so showed the form to them several times, trying to make them get a feel for it. At the end of the month, Piccolo returned. As Break nervously shuffled over to him, Gohan and the Demon King studied each other carefully, trying to determine the extent to which the other had increased his power. She's family, Gohan warned. If you harm her, Piccolo laughed. Oh, save me from the wrath of the great and mighty Super Saiyan. As ever, he turned his back contemptuously, dragging Break off with him. If you surpass me, we'll talk about who's in charge here.
Is he really that much stronger than you, big bro?
Goten was barely covering his anger with lightheartedness. Yeah, Gohan nodded, grim-faced. At least he won't kill any of us. We're too useful to him right now. The loneliness was the hardest. Not just that it was the 4 of them for a year, though that was certainly depressing at times, but also the knowledge that their fathers were dead. Raditz, it was certain, was not coming back. The time limit for the Dragon Ball resurrection had passed years ago. Goku, though. The uncertainty was horrifying. What was Buu doing out there? With 24 hours to roam the Earth, what would it do? Would Goku be waiting for them? Would anyone? Or would they find only Buu, laughing over the corpses of everyone they knew? What if Buu came to the lookout? The door could crumble at any second, destroyed by accident in Buu's ravages, and leave them trapped for eternity. The vast empty expanse of the chamber seemed to reflect their internal emptiness. Nothing was certain. Days started to run together. Only Piccolo could still remember without constantly glancing back at the enormous clock above the entrance, or the gigantic sand timers flanking it. The real world faded into distant memory. Goku yawned. It had been just over 5 hours, and Old Kai had finished the preliminary dancing and chanting stage, beginning on the 20-hour-long power unlocking process for real. Can't I just stretch my legs for a second? He asked. No! Old Kai said firmly, turning a page of his comic and idly waving one hand in Goku's direction. Apparently, this constituted the ritual. You must remain perfectly still, and awake too! Aw, man. Raditz, leaning against a tree off to the side, found endless entertainment in his brother's discomfort. Any small thing to take his mind off the distant energy of Earth's people, slowly diminishing. That's it for Chapter 81. I'll see you in Chapter 82 in a few seconds. Stay tuned. Eighteen sat up, opened her eyes. Alright? Bulma was speaking. 18 shook her head as if to clear her vision, but it hadn't been blurry. In fact, it was, it seemed, too perfect. Everything picked out in detailed high definition, a flood of visual information. Not overwhelming, though. Evidently there was some kind of filter in her optic nerve. 18 put a hand on the table to lift herself off, and immediately recoiled as if stung. She stared at it. It certainly looked normal, but I didn't feel anything. She raised her other hand to her face, touched it gently. Nothing. Well, there's information. I'm getting a purely factual sense of what I'm touching, what the texture and temperature is like, but I can't actually feel it. She fell silent as this sank in. We did talk about this, Bulma shrugged. I'm sorry, this tech is years in advance of me. I couldn't pick it apart and apply only certain bits to you. It's amazing that the future me was even able to adapt a from-scratch blueprint into an upgrade for an existing person. No, it's okay. 18 replied hurriedly, looking away. She hopped off the table, surprising herself again. She was taller now, and Bulma barely came up to her shoulders. Huh. Bulma brought a change of clothes to fit 18's new stature, though since very large sizes were often designed for the horizontally large, these were simply large-ish, and almost fit. The shirt didn't quite stretch down to her waist, and large rips at the shoulders and knees lengthened the sleeves to fit easier. Once she was changed, 18 asked, Any other changes I should know about? Well, you won't actually need to breathe, Bulma replied as they made their way to the building's exit. You still have that function, but you'll only need air for speech, not survival. Also, no heartbeat. That's all mechanical now. For some reason that hit hard. 18 felt suddenly cold all over. Hard. Artificial. She repressed a wave of guilt. This was necessary. The power unlocking ritual was well on its way now, and Goku was beginning to understand the true meaning of boredom. Old Kai seemed to be asleep, but was apparently awake enough to snap at Goku every time he went to shift or stretch slightly. Raditz's muffled laughter had long since died. He was now crouched with his gaze locked on the crystal ball, watching the state of things on Earth, face pale and sweat-drenched, teeth grinding together, hands clenching and unclenching with impotent fury. Goten crashed to the floor yet again, already hearing Piccolo's approaching footsteps. Get up! The demonic alien ordered. They'd been sparring for 6 hours straight, and Goten was hovering on the edge of consciousness, though at least his training so far had ensured he'd been able to constantly maintain a Super Saiyan state. Still, he was exhausted, aching all over, and was desperately missing real company. Ah! The young Saiyan rolled over onto his back, throwing out a hand and launching a yellow energy bolt. I hate you! He half shouted, half sobbed. Good! Piccolo grinned savagely, catching the blast and crushing it into a puff of smoke. Let that fuel your power. You want to hit me back, don't you? Come on! Goten stood, drawing back a fist, but was immediately driven to his knees by a volley of quick blows. His breath caught in his throat. A bruise on the side of his head had squeezed one eye shut, and vision out of the other was hazy. Is that it? Piccolo snarled. The girl was a lot stronger than you. Hell, she achieved Super Saiyan 2 just by training and powering up. You've been at a figurative wall for about a week. Your power stopped increasing. You won't be able to get any stronger without transforming. Was that it? Goten wondered. Just normal training? It was that easy? Damn, she's always leaving me behind. Is she just a better fighter than me? He pounded a fist into the ground, but the smooth, empty whiteness remained undamaged. The intense gravity normally didn't affect him, but weakened as he was, he felt it crushing down on his shoulders and back. The heat was about as high as it had ever been. His skin screamed at his brain, registering that it was practically on fire, but his brain had become used to the sensation by now. Still, the situation was deeply unpleasant, and Piccolo was doing his best, as ever, to make it worse. Don't give up now! He gave Goten a kick, almost gently to test the kid's reflexes, but Goten didn't dodge or respond, just stumbled back warily at the impact. Piccolo frowned. You better not think you can pull this crap on me. If you're not useful anymore, if I don't think you'll be able to fight, I will kill you rather than waste my time on you. Then go ahead! Goten suddenly burst out, his roar instantly fired up and raging around him, wild-eyed, flecks of foam and blood flying from his mouth. I don't care anymore! Not about Buu, or fighting, or saving everybody, or your stupid training! I'm not a hero. I can't take this! I don't care! Just kill me or whatever if it makes you happy! I've had enough! His aura exploded, it seemed, filling the air around him and Piccolo with blinding golden flares. No more! I don't care! There was a collective glance upwards as 18, carrying Bulma, landed on the lookout, Trunks touching down just behind them. 18! Krillin, holding Marin, approached cautiously. You got pretty big, huh? There was no ill will in his voice, though. He'd never really been insecure about his height. Don't worry, I'm still me. 18 reached out to stroke their wide-eyed daughter's hair, had to will herself not to flinch away at the bland mental chatter of information, devoid of any real sensation. She decided not to tell him she couldn't feel anymore. He'd only agonize over it. So, how strong'd you get? Kuriza piped up. Can you beat Buu? I don't think so, Bulma said sadly. For what I've been able to ascertain from the schematics, she should be somewhere between a Super Saiyan 2 and 3. Well, that makes her the strongest here at any rate. Roshi looked hopefully up at the android. You'll be the first line of defense if it comes to the worst. Majin Buu strode through a burning, corpse-littered street, lips moving silently as if mulling something over. Suddenly he halted, raised his head to the heavens, and bellowed, I'm bored! One pink, blobby hand was raised to the heavens, and a pink glow began to rise from the earth, up Buu's body, and focusing on the outstretched hand. With a grunt, Buu let fly the blast, which rose up, meteor-like into the sky, and began to split up and shoot off in different directions. Dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions! Still they fired, arcing off towards the horizon in all directions, covering the sky in crisscrossing beams. Huh? Raditz and Kaioshin leaned in towards the crystal ball, wide-eyed, panicking. What's he doing? One moment, the Earth had a population in the billions. The next, it didn't. What just... Raditz sat back, pale-faced. He killed, Kaioshin murmured, disbelieving. Nearly every human. What'd you say? Goku called over from his spot by Elder Kaioshin. Buu just eliminated the entire population of Earth. The only people still alive are the ones on the lookout. They put up some kind of shield. What? Not now, Raditz warned. Stay where you are. Stay still for the rest of the ritual. Casting a dark look at his brother, Goku turned back to the gently dozing old Kai. This had better be working. Kuriza lowered his hands, floating back down to the tiled floor of the lookout. Phew. Thinking fast, he'd been the first one to throw up an energy barrier. Thanks to the split-up nature of Buu's attack, each shot had only a tiny fraction of its full power, and Kuriza had been able to block the group of beams aimed at them. Thanks, Yamcha said fearfully. But all those people down there, just gone! Bulma seemed empty, shattered. Mom. Dad! Oh no. Roshi tilted his head back slightly. It seems we may be joining them soon. What are you... Ah! Krillin whirled to face the approaching Ki, noticing what Roshi had sensed. He's coming! Shit. 18 hurriedly surveyed her surroundings. If we're all grouped together like this, he can just kill us all at once. Everyone, spread out! Make Buu fight us one at a time! But... Zarbon began. Yes, I know, we're going to die. Somebody get to the chamber. Wait as long as possible. Give them as much time to train as we can. Then get them out here. I'll stall Buu so you can get to positions. Go! With that, she turned and flew off towards the rapidly growing speck on the horizon. Majin Buu slowed his flight, coming to a leisurely halt as the tall android flew up to face him. She hung in the air, filling out her large flame and glowering at him. Want to die, Buu said slowly. Fine. Start with you. No difference. The sheer magnitude of Buu's deeds hit her at that moment. 7 billion people. Go to hell! She screamed, launching an energy blast at him. He warped his elastic body out of the way, then charged at her. She swung a kick at him, but he blocked with one arm and punched back with the other, sending her flying uncontrollably back towards the lookout. She flipped upright, coming to a halt inches off the floor, then looking up. Buu was gone. He appeared behind her, kicking her through a pillar and grinning with unrestrained glee. Kianzan! Krillin's signature energy attack came slicing through a wall, and Buu didn't bother to dodge, letting the disc carve through him before resealing the gash. Krillin barreled through the wall after it, Kaioken pushed to the limit, but Buu casually stepped out of the way of his swing. The creature's antennas swung up. Chocolate, he said simply. 18 recovered her senses, and looked up just in time to see the man she loved being eaten. Don't worry, Buu growled, patting his stomach. You'll be together, in here. The transformation beam shot out again, but 18 dodged it, much to Buu's surprise, dashing up to him, throwing a high kick he had to backflip away from. As he landed, he extended his arm, launching a long-range punch. 18 caught it by the wrist, surprising Buu again, reeling him in and attacking. Her offensive lasted nearly 10 seconds, driving Buu almost to the edge of the lookout, before he found an opening and struck back with his left, stunning her. He then brought his right arm around, fist pumping like a jackhammer with bone-cracking force. The fourth, or possibly fifth, blow snapped her neck. Buu strode away from the body, irritated. It shouldn't have taken that long to kill 2 humans. Another attacker, crashing through another wall. Wolfang? Wolfang nothing! Buu hissed, still in a bad mood. Chocolate! He snapped, and Yamcha too was eaten. Buu rounded a corner, seeing his way blocked by a blue-haired woman. Wow, got to me already? She said shakily. Buu sniffed, shook his head. You're weak, not like the others, but smarter than all of them combined. With that, Bulma activated the machine she used on Cell. The cage of light burst forth, enveloping the bemused Buu. Ha! No instant transmission to get you out! Buu struggled as the machine drew him closer to it, threatening to suck him in and disintegrate him. Won't hold me! He flung his arms out, ripping straight through the energy field and tearing it to pieces. He clambered to his feet, glaring at Bulma, before smashing the machine with one balled fist. Neat. This thing really is on a completely different level to Cell. She gulped, steeled herself, and activated her new power amplifier. Again, the slow motion sensation, the rush of power. Seeing Buu's pink rubbery mass towering over her, she decided it would be difficult to miss, and swung a punch at his stomach. Too bored to dodge, Buu let the attack bounce harmlessly off him. Bulma stepped back, rubbing her fist, and jolted back to the real world as the amplifier's charge ran out, exhausted by 2 uses in such rapid succession. Huh. Buu's mouth spread wide in an evil grin. Chocolate! Roshi slunk along the wall, shadowing the sound of Buu's heavy tread on the other side. He heard Buu stopped, knew the demonic being had found the strange circular container he placed on the ground, and was examining it, and nodded to himself. Now! He leapt around the corner, throwing out both hands. Mafuba! Buu blinked. What? But at that moment, a great wind whipped up from nowhere, and the container on the ground began to vibrate. The wind focused into a great hurricane centered on Buu, Roshi, and the container, and began to drag Buu towards it. Grunting, Buu found traction on the floor and forced itself away from the unearthly wind, firing off a small energy blast and smashing the container to pieces. Roshi yelped, falling to his knees, as though he himself had been struck. For the Mafuba, the evil containment wave is a powerful technique, capable of sealing away an evil being, but only at the cost of the user's life. Buu, however, was simply too powerful to seem to be affected by such a technique. Roshi felt himself fading when an idea slipped into his mind. Of course, it's still there, since that silly fool Ox King wanted to experience the ascent to Kami's lookout the traditional way, and wouldn't let one of the flies carry him. Yes, and Buu is standing right over it. With a tremendous effort, the old turtle hermit raised his head, and with his dying breath, called out, Power pole extend! Before finally collapsing. Buu was only confused momentarily. A second later, a magically growing red staff smashed up through the floor, impaling Buu right in the small of its back, and emerging out of the top of his head. Temporarily transfixed, Buu was an easy target, and Trunks, Kuriza, Videl, and Hercule took advantage of the fact, rushing Buu from all sides. Snarling, Buu ripped itself free of the magical weapon, gouging out a great tear down its back which rapidly filled in and smoothed over, then flung out its energy in an omnidirectional wave, reducing the 4 vastly weaker fighters to ash. That's enough. Buu idly looked left, spying Zarbon approaching, an unreadable expression on his face. You don't know how much I wished I could have gone before my family, let them live on a little longer. But it was agreed that I'd need to wait until nearly the end before engaging you. Buu just stared for a while, then shrugged, walked up to Zarbon and swung one arm up, attempting to swat him aside. Strangely, the alien warrior dodged the attack. Buu's eyes narrowed. He attacked again, and again, the green man dodged. Just an ability of my race, Zarbon explained, unsmiling. I've been studying every aspect of your movements and fighting style since you got here. You can't imagine how hard it's been to remain as calm as I have to be for it to work, watching you murder the people I love the most. But you're not getting past me. Buu tried to kick, but Zarbon seemed to know where it'd be before even Buu did, and avoided it again. He made no move to attack back, though. He knew that in all other things, his power level was still vastly inferior to Buu's, and all he could hope to achieve was his stalling action. Buu took a step back, thinking, and soon reached a decision. Fine. Its voice sounded slightly different all of a sudden, and its stance subtly shifted. Zarbon paled. Wait, this is... Buu grinned. Baby, hovering an inch from the ceiling, tensed himself as Buu walked under him. He dropped silently to the floor, creeping up behind the monster, raised one-handed, formed, and fired a hail of razor-sharp energy bolts as quickly as he could. They ripped through Buu's flesh, opening up numerous small cuts. Buu turned to face them, interest peaked. While this one wasn't as strong as some of the others he'd killed today, he certainly wasn't weak like most of them. Buu started to regenerate, but before it was fully healed, Baby sprung, body stretching and elongating into a stream of silver liquid, which flowed into the openings created by his energy attack, vanishing inside Buu's body. Buu stood stock still for a second, wondering what had just happened. Then, finishing the regeneration process, he straightened up. Useless. Baby found himself in a dark, cavernous, tunnel-like area with pink, fleshy veined walls. What the? You're trying to control me, came Buu's mocking voice. You go inside people. I absorb them into me. I see, Baby said, realizing. We're opposites. I guess your absorption and my parasitic control must have cancelled out. But what weird magic your body's made of? He patted the wall. It seems I was shrunk down. And you'll never leave, Buu replied, startlingly close. Baby spun, jumping back, and seeing a perfect replica of Buu standing inside his own body in front of the tuffle. In here, out there, I'll kill you. Baby smiled, and had he been a biological creature, nervous beads of sweat would have appeared on his brow at this point. We'll see. Majin Buu, confident that the parasite was taken care of, reached out with his mind. There was only one more high power level left on the lookout, right at the bottom. But much closer, he sensed a group of weaker powers, all clustered together. Chi-Chi, the Ox King, Chaozu, Dende, and Mr. Popo hiding from the battle. Buu licked his lips, red on black eyes lighting up. Never too much chocolate. Standing by the door to the hyperbolic time chamber, Launch gasped. No way. He's going after them first. Damn it! He was meant to sense my energy and come here! She turned to the door. Alright, we've held out long enough. If they're not strong enough to win now, they never will be. She took a step towards the door, and Buu crashed down through the ceiling, landing directly between her and it. Launch skidded to a halt, bringing her arms up to guard her face as Buu looked up at her. Raditz tore his gaze away from the crystal ball. I can't watch this! His energy flickered around him. I have to help her! Don't be foolish, Kaioshin hissed. You're dead. You can't return to the living world. Just watch me try! He flashed into Super Saiyan 3, bowling Kaioshin and Kibito over with the massive release of power. I've sat here and watched Buu work his way through everyone I know. But not this one! For one thing, Buu's much stronger than you, Goku reminded him. You'll do more harm than good, Kibito protested. The fabric of time and space will... You don't get it, do you? Raditz raised 2 fingers to his forehead, homing in on Buu's energy signal. Of course you don't. Right now, compared to her, reality can go jump off a cliff. His face darkened. I have to draw the line somewhere. With that, and the hiss of instant transmission, he was gone. What? Okai woke from his nap, head swinging left and right. Oh dear, he's gone and done it now. Launch braced herself. What? This door? Buu jeered. Wonder what's in there. He raised a hand, forming an energy ball. I'll blast it out. If he destroys the entrance, they'll be trapped in there. She cleared her mind of doubts and fears. There was no option but to attack. Spirit Kaioken! Tongues of red flame danced up and down the walls. The fiery vortex centered around her. Power fully released, she attacked, ramming home a punch to Buu's stomach. However, her fist simply sunk in slightly. Buu didn't flinch. He grunted, swatting her away. She smashed into the wall, bringing it down around her as she fell to the ground in a heap. Ugh, how can a creature like this even exist? You survived that, Buu said contemplatively. You are strong. But this... He drew back his hand, preparing to swing down and crush her. A strange noise in the air. Crack! Ugh! A heel planted itself firmly in Buu's chin on its way upwards, sending Buu sprawling back down the corridor. Raditz landed, lowering his leg and raising his guard. That's... enough. You... Launch pushed the wreckage off herself, sitting up against the wall. Came back? She saw the halo, still over his head. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to, Raditz admitted. I really don't know what will happen, but I'm not leaving again. The moron! Old Kai yelled as the ground on the sacred Kai planet began to tremble. What does that ass think he's doing? The balance of nature can't support him in the living world anymore! He, Goku, Kibito, and Kaioshin were stumbling back and forth as the shaking intensified. The sky darkened, great shafts of red light lancing down from the heavens to the earth, like wounds in the very sky itself. And the amount of energy he's putting out in that form, Kaioshin realized. Everything's falling apart. It started up here, but it'll spread to the mortal realm before long. King Kai held on tight to a tree as a whirlwind whipped up around him. Damn it, Raditz! I know things were looking bad, but the complete and utter annihilation of everything is a little worse! Forethought isn't your strong suit, is it? Well? Suddenly growing calm, the older Kaioshin sat back on the grass, folding his legs and closing his eyes. I suppose there's only one thing to do. He won't come back, so... Ancestor? Kaioshin said. Then, with growing worry in his voice, Ancestor, what are you doing? Old Kai ignored him, drawing in a deep breath, serene amidst the chaos. And so passes the Supreme Kai, he mumbled, almost a whisper. 15 generations too late. The lookout. The storm died down. Calm returned. The universe, against all odds, was still there. Launch looked up again. Raditz's halo was gone. Hey, she said weakly. Yeah, I feel it. He reached up, feeling the empty space where it had been previously, to confirm it. I don't know how, but looks like I'm back in business. Whatever you did, guys, I owe you. Now, you! Buu climbed to his feet with exaggerated slowness. You, with the hair. I beat you up before. Before it was just another fight. Some evil creature that might destroy everything. What's new about that? But now, Raditz let his power boil around him. You've pushed me too far. Enough talk! I'll kill you! Buu roared, launching himself at Raditz. Just like you killed everyone else? Raditz tensed up, waiting for Buu to near him, then lashed out. His fist drove deep into Buu's stomach, and he screeched to a halt, choking. Buu staggered back, clutching at his slowly filling out stomach, strings of saliva hanging from his silently screaming mouth. He'd vaguely felt the other attacks he'd taken today, but this one hurt. But you... I told you. Raditz raised his fist in front of him. This is completely different to last time. I've got hundreds more where that came from. Relief flooded Launch's face. I can't believe you're so happy about coming back for good. What about the reason you stayed dead in the first place? My warrior's pride? Raditz let out a bark of laughter. Screw that. I have a family. Buu had recovered, and Raditz took a step towards it, but Buu was faster. He lashed out, fist aiming straight for Raditz's head, but the Saiyan caught it two-handed. Buu followed up, pushing his whole body forwards with the motion of the attack, and shoved Raditz back into the wall. They struggled against each other, Buu slowly forcing Raditz back, driving cracks into the wall. Buu drew back its other arm, swinging at Raditz again, but Raditz brought his legs up, jumping over the punch and letting it smash the wall behind him to dust. He continued the jumping motion, swinging both legs up and pushing off Buu's overextended arm, letting his knees collide with Buu's face. Buu staggered away, and Raditz turned to Launch. I can't keep this up forever, he yelled. Get inside! Right! Struggling to her feet, she raced off towards the hyperbolic time chamber. Buu turned to give chase, but Raditz blocked the way, drawing his sword from his back and plunging it into the ground between them. I won't let you pass this point, even if it kills me. Buu ground its teeth, furious. You see the difference then, Raditz said. But then, you've still got something up your sleeve, haven't you? He smiled. An unreadable expression crossed Buu's face. You know? You know what? What do you know about Super Buu that we don't, Raditz? What's going on? Well, you'll have to tune in next week to find out. Thank you for listening to chapters 80, 81, and 82. Don't forget to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with the show. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Ginger Power signing off.